Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning to you. Got a lot to go over today. We're going to get into it very quickly and soon here. Not going to wait for everyone to show up at 9:25, but we'll just give it a minute just to get some guys in here. For those of you who do not know, we got our gap up watch list. All the stocks gapping up. We go over nano, small, mid, large cap, everything in here. We got the floats. The stocks that are pure blue are low floats. You see these 4 million in shares. Tiny, nano cap. The yellow is going to be very small floats. Orange means fast move intensity. There's a lot going on with that move right now. A lot of volume, quick move. We'll go over YTN, AXSM, AVDL, all these. This morning we got the gap down. Intensity scanners. I just added the 50-day moving average crossover, 200-day moving average crossover. So we're going to go over some plays off of those scans today. Excited to get into that. Got a lot to look at this morning. So let's get straight into it, fellas. What is our leading gapper this morning? We got AXSM. This one's 29 million float. What's going on with AXSM? AXSM, this one's a little bit pricier. At $110. Thinkorswim, I might have to restart this real quick. I have to restart Thinkorswim. But AXSM, this one, they achieved primary endpoint in advanced pivotal phase 2-3 trial. It's bringing in a little bit of attention, a little bit of hype. They did a reverse split in December. The stocks used to be around $20. A little bit higher price right now. But AXSM, this one's our leading gapper this morning. What's going on there? Came out with the phase 2-3 trials. So you got the 3 trials. You got the phase 1. They're testing, is the treatment safe? Phase 2, does it work? And phase 3 is telling us, is it better than what's already out there on the market? Phase 1 usually doesn't really bring in much hype and attention. 2 and 3, definitely. Phase 3, always. Jay Tower's in the house. What's going on, Jay? Did you get your scanners updated, Jay? We're going to go over a few plays off the 50 and 200-day moving averages today as well. So we'll get an idea of how those are working and how we can use them to our benefit. But that's AXSM, guys. Pulling up the Thinkorswim right now. Not yet on the list of things to do today. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, we got some new scans, 50, 200-day float rotation, which is nice as well. I'm going to be looking at that one. Volume surge. So float rotations, especially on some of these tiny floats, like for instance YTN, you have the float and you can see the volume. So you can see, okay, YTN 600,000 shares in the float, and this one's already nearly rotated all those shares on YTN. So what does that mean? It means, well, this thing with this type of volume can have a massive day, massive volume. Higher the demand on the stock, the bigger the move can be. All right, traders, that's AXSM. Let's go over AVDL. AVDL, another one of our leading gappers this morning. AVDL, not a whole lot of volume right now, pretty thin. But this one came out with phase trials as well. Phase 3, they met their main endpoints in narcolepsy symptoms. So AVDL is at all-time highs right here. It's got a little bit of support. Draw that price level right here, about $12.50. And it's holding pretty well this morning in pre-market. Taking a look at its past chart history, we always look left of the chart, traders, and see our history, see what's going on. Get an idea of what may happen. We're above all levels. Clear skies ahead here on AVDL. So AVDL, definitely keep that one on watch. Several of these on the back burner. I'm going over a lot of plays today. There's a lot popping on up. Usually on Mondays what happens is we wait and see, where volume's going to go. There may be a lot of plays that have the potential to get some of the main volume, but we don't quite know yet. Monday kind of things get settled. We see, where that dust is going to settle. Last week, on a lot of plays, the market didn't do too well. And as far as kind of these smaller caps go, if you guys are trading the smaller caps, didn't do too well. MDGS failed. It was up in pre-market, spiked out of the gates, failed. SAEX failed. WATT failed. EROS, CYCC, and on Friday, MDGS failed. They all got a spike out of the gates, and then they failed. So we're going to see if kind of things are going to change this morning. Here was MDGS's chart. That was on Friday. Ice picks across the board. Ice picks across the board. And guess what it did Friday? It tapped that resistance that we had drawn here. Always look left of the chart and draw your resistance line. So there's tons, massive resistance right around here, around these 350 areas. Tapped it dozens of times, guys. Lots and lots of times. Taking a look at it in here, MDGS was a big move in pre-market. Did a U-shape out of the gates, tapped that 350, became resistance, looking at the chart, and this one faded. Now, MDGS did come out with news this morning. And what was that? They signed a collaboration deal with a company for joint commercial and blah, 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 COVID-19. All right, they came out with some COVID-19 related news. Everything else was noise to me on MDGS. So they came out with news on a collaboration agreement with a company, commercialization of various COVID-19 related products. So that's why they got a little pop out of the gates this morning. MDGS 180 up here, sitting around 235 right now. MDGS it is above its 200-day. So we pull up the 3-year chart. Usually when it fails that 200-day, it ends up retracing, coming back below it. So it is sitting around 230. It's holding that 200. We'll see what's going to happen there. You know, it failed on Friday. Came out with COVID-related news, which is the hottest out there right now. And so keep it on watch. We got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got about 10 stocks we're watching this morning. AXSM, AVDL, we went over those. MDGS. All right, there's a few others I'm looking at from the bear scan watch list. Now, what's the bear scan watch list? This stock goes over overbought conditions. Very high on the RSI, 70 plus overbought. These stocks had a very fast move relative to its average normal trading day, which means what? Well, this provides us with opportunities when stocks are overbought or oversold for that matter. There's abnormal volume coming in. When there's abnormal volume coming in, it makes for an abnormal day, and which usually brings in overbought, oversold conditions, and we can take advantage of those emotions. So let's pull up a couple of these we're looking at. If you guys have the shorts, there's a few of these that are not bad that I didn't necessarily have the shorts for. MBOT, not bad. I like MBOT. I don't have shorts there. I could check the locates, but MBOT, not bad. Let's take a look at that chart. Bear scan watch list. What's going on here? Well, I like the daily too, because what do we see? Let's zoom into the daily. This one got overbought on Friday. Very overbought conditions. When's the last time I got overbought? Got overbought back here, and what do we see? I'm always taking a look at this history because we saw one big green day, 2 big green days before it pulled back. So could we see another green day? We could, but let's take a look at the intraday chart. Intraday, what's this telling us? Intraday, this is telling us on Friday, we had a lot of buyers coming in at the close of the day, ramped this thing on up from 9 to 1080, faded back down, closed and consolidated, and went sideways in after hours. So Mbot's telling me, okay, there's a lot of buyers in this range from like 920s up to 1080. And right now, they're underwater. And not only that, looking left of the chart, this recently had a nice big move just a couple weeks ago. And so there are a lot of buyers in this, bag holders at this point, long-term investors that might initially were just trying to get a small window of opportunity, and then they turned into a baggie. That's oftentimes what will happen on these. So we probably got a lot of baggies up in here between $9.20 and $20. And so this thing popping on up, all these levels of resistance, it's going to be a lot of resistance coming in. A lot of people trying to break even on their trades. Have you guys ever done that? You're in a stock, it fails, and you don't want to be in it anymore. You just want it to come back to break even point. So MBOT, not bad. I like that for a short. I don't have the shorts, but hey, I'm just helping you guys out. If you have them, not bad. There's a couple more I'm looking at off the Bearskin watch list. CALX. I do have shorts here. These are lighter on volume, so I'm not 100% guaranteed going to be taking a trade on these. What I'm going to be looking for are many variables to line up, traders. That's what I look for. But what I do like looking at CALX on its past chart history is range. Now, what I mean by range is saying, okay, the stock is up and down like, one of them seesaws. There we go. What the heck? I'm losing it this morning, guys. No sleep. Seesaw. So a lot of range, meaning intraday. Looking at the past chart history, this stock up and down. There's a lot of opportunity, both long and short. Now, one thing I did notice, taking a look at CALX past chart history, is every single time this thing pops on up, guess what it does? It sells on off. It ain't rocket science, guys. CLX. So this one, about $10 here in pre-market. We're gonna have resistance across the board here at $10. Look over here. We got 1050 resistance. We got 1075 resistance. We got 1120 resistance. So we got a lot of levels up ahead on CLX. Now, this is a thin name. And so if it's spready like it is right now, 40-cent spread, I'm not trading it. Variables have to line up. When the stars align and make it a very high probability sell, it's when I get excited. So it needs to have a pretty tight spread on it. That's a good variable. What else does it need to have? Coming up to resistance, that's a good variable. It has good amount of volume and abnormal amounts of volume. That's a good sign. Coming up to moving averages, that's a good sign. So all these variables lining up makes for a good trade. That's CALX. Throw that one on the watch list. Another one from the Bearskin watch list that's similar to it is CURO. That one went from $5.33 up to $7 Friday. It's a very thin name. A little bit more of a fan of CLX, but it does have 737 50-day moving average resistance. And that one's on the Bearskin watch list as well. So CURO, this one right here, $5.33 up to $7. Pull up his past chart history. And we got some pretty major resistance. This 50-day moving average, 737. So just throw that one on the back burner as well. A little bit thinner, lighter on volume. CLX. Now, let me see where YTN is at for you low float penny stockers. Like I said, our everyday trading live stream here, we're going to be going over everything for you guys. Everything. We got about 10 in here now, so let me go over some of this stuff for you guys that are just now joining in. Gap up watch list up here, top left. Gap down watch list. Then we got the Bearskin watch list. These are good shorting opportunities, stocks that are overbought. So these scanners, absolutely love them, and they're really going to benefit you guys. For those of you who are new to these, the blue means low float. Yellow is tiny, tiny float. And what we see with YTN is 600,000 shares in the float. That's super small. For those of you who do not know, the public float are the shares available to the public. So these are not shares held by insiders, institutions, that sort of thing. YTN, very low float, low market cap. This one can rip. So YTN is the next one I want to go over for all you penny stockers out there. YTEN, this stock, I didn't even really look at the news, to be honest. For those who have been trading for a while, we know what's the pumps, we know what's the dumps. YTN is definitely one of those. I'm not saying that this one does not have more opportunity on the upside to get a little rip out of the gates, but what I am saying is it is a pump and dump. So it came out with news. It's above all the moving average indicators except the 200-day. So it's got a little squeeze on it. I want to go over this squeeze. And we've seen this before. Actually, taking a look at YTN's past chart history, you can see that this stock does respect these levels. So this is actually pretty similar to what we're seeing this morning. Let's take a look. And that's why you always look left of the chart. Listen, if you ever want to know anything about someone, a person, a friend, or someone, look at what they've done in the past. You get a good idea of what's going to happen in the future, right? YTN, let's take a look at its past to get a good idea of what's going to happen in the future. Way back here, guess what? It had a tight squeeze between 13 EMA, 15-day moving average, and guess what it did that day? huge pop up to the 200-day moving average. So we know it does respect those areas, and those areas are pretty important. Looking at this past chart history, 200-day moving average, tapped it all along here, was not able to break it. Now it's 200 is at about $16 right now. Can it get to 16? I don't know. But what are we seeing today? Similar to its past chart history, 50-day, 13 EMA getting squeezed tight between these levels at 550, and this morning it's getting a pop above them. It's at 660 right now, and right now it's broke that level at 550. So YTN, definitely keep it on watch. This stock could get that rip today. This is a pump. It is a pump. So if you are going to be trading it, please be mindful of risk management, predefining your risk. Understand that it is a tiny float, but float rotation is a thing. You know, these stocks with the float 600,000 shares already in pre-market, nearly 400,000 shares traded. This is the penny stocker pump of the day, most likely. Okay, so traders, this is what I'm excited about. A couple new scans we added. 50-day moving average crossover, 200 moving day crossover. Let's go over a few plays that we found off of these scans, just so we get an idea. Today's the first day for me using them, but we're already seeing some good potential here. So 50-day moving average, let's pop up VSTM, 50-day down. So let's pull up VSTM this morning. What do we see? This stock, 50-day moving average, down. What does that mean? All right, this stock had a sell-off in pre-market, down here to 258. Well, traders, guess what's at 258? 50-day moving average, 262. Dropped all the way down to the 50-day moving average, and now got a pop up to 319. Already there's 60 cents of profit on this move from the scans, from VSTM, 50-day moving average drop. So already 40, 50, 60 cents profit right there, VSTM. Did I trade it? No, I missed this move, but I did see it. And I saw the potential of these scans. So several other ones I'm looking at that are popping up on the scans. Probably, let me see what this one's at. I'm looking at a few. WTI is not bad. This one is a pretty large float here on WTI, but this one is coming down to its moving averages. 50-day is at about 220, and so we see this tap 230, moved up 10 cents. This is a smaller, very, very small price stock, but it does have a larger float. Let's look up the float on it, but this one already gave some profits. They don't always necessarily tap exactly the 50-day or 200-day price. If you guys use these indicators, you look at the past chart history, you're well aware that's not the case. Sometimes it's a little bit before, sometimes it's a little after. It can crack these levels, and sometimes it doesn't respect them at all. But for the most part, I do see these stocks respect these levels, and that's why I've used them for so long. So WTI, let me look at the float real quick on this one. Float 93 million. So I mean, not bad. Gives you a little bit of profit potential there. But there's a good idea of how these scans are working. I'm gonna be using them today. VSTM nailed it perfect. That stock off the 50-day got a nice bounce on it. So the power of these scanners, guys. If you want them, 30% off in the description below. I'm gonna be live streaming for you guys most days from here on out. I'm gonna try to do my best to. It's a lot of work, though. So you guys hit that like button for all this work. Okay, so we went over AXSM, AVDL, MDGS, MBOT, CLX. A lot we're looking at this morning. I'm going to go ahead and start loading some of these charts up for the day. It's about 9:20 already, which is usually when we're going to be wrapping up the morning. So any questions before we start wrapping up the day, guys? Any questions at all before we wrap up this trading day? So AXSM, AVDL, those are on phase 3 trials. Phase 3, it's the biggest one. Phase 1 is they're asking, is the treatment safe? Usually doesn't bring in much hype. Phase 2, does it work? Okay, it does, it doesn't. Usually that does bring in a good amount of hype. Phase 3 always, because that's saying, okay, this treatment's better than what's already out there on the market. The pump of the day, YTEN, likely. If that one continues to get volume right now, it's already trying to U-shape. It's up at $7. Not saying this one will be the biggest. Not saying it will get pumped. Could get done. I mean, last week we went over all the plays. MDGS, SAEX, WATT, CYCC, all these stocks failing. All last week. So YTN could fail. I certainly wouldn't be buying into strength on YTN. I don't know. That's just me. On low floats, buying breakouts, dangerous. Very dangerous. Most people who've bought breakouts on low floats, they understand that. Because they bought fake out breakouts. And the stock drops like a point on them in a second. And that's why oftentimes I don't trade those type of stocks. Because I like to buy weakness. And I like to short strength. But on these low floaters like that, you're oftentimes predicting the stock is going to turn back around versus reacting to what is. And most of the time, they're not reputable companies. So they're not going to hold levels. But YTN already 710 right now, trying to U-shape, come back up, retest its pre-market highs. Traders, we got about a minute or two left. I'm going to be wrapping it up, setting things up, getting my charts loaded up for the day. Any questions before we wrap this up? If you have the shorts, MBOT, CLX, those are a couple I'm looking at. If not, J Towers, that's right. Get them muscles out. All right, fellas. Love you guys. Trade safe. Redefine that risk. You guys will be good to go. If there's no questions at all, we will see you guys all first thing tomorrow morning. All right, traders? Later.